Na 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 na. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, it's a bit of thunderstruck this morning because I'm in a good mood. There's Mr. Brown to make me in a bad mood. He's coming along shortly. Come on down, Mr. Brown.
Morning, Ryan. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, morning, morning,
Must be
morning.
nice to do one of these spaces with someone who knows how it works rather than our South
Oh,
African friend.
don't. I will make sure he plays that back. Anyway, what day is it today? It's Wednesday, the 9th of October. This is the
It
morning
is
blast with myself
Wednesday. It
and
is
my co-host.
hopefully invoice payment day as well.
Well, I hope. Wait, fucking hell, I hope so. No Stafford trip for me otherwise. Um, Quickly do the legals. Nothing discussed on this Spaces session is constitutes trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ Global Limited, traders PIQ or PIQ Suite, or its affiliates, including the hosts, which is obviously the awesome Michael Brown and myself. They're slightly less awesome, but still pretty awesome, Ryan Basie.
Even if he does say so himself.
Even if I do say my nana says it's the best show on the internet. God bless her. Right, what's happened? I'll tell you what has happened before we go any further. Heavy metal, mate. Heavy metal. That's why the Thunderstruck was playing. Gold feeling very heavy.
Oh,
And who's been saying
Christ
that for 4
almighty.
days?
You say
Mate,
my puns are bad.
mate, like I said before, I don't get many winners. I don't even, let's be honest, I don't do much trading at all anymore. But so it's even less likely that I get a winner. So when I do, you better believe it's going on the fridge. And this
Yeah,
one's going on the fridge.
yes, Ryan will not shut up about that for about 3 weeks now, guys. Just FYI.
I'm more happy about the gold. Sorry, more happy about the China one.
So,
But anyway, we digress. Go on, carry on. What's happened yesterday?
yes, indeed. Let's crack on. It was another quiet day yesterday, actually, in terms of external catalysts, with both news and data flow relatively light once more. And markets really did effectively the opposite of what they did on Monday. Stocks rallying on Wall Street, the S&P 500 adding around 1%, the Nasdaq leading the way higher, adding around 1.5%. In the Treasury complex, it was a bit of a mixed day. We did have some selling pressure early on, but that faded as the day progressed, with the two-year yield eventually ending the day around 2 basis points lower. The 2s10 spread steepening a touch as 10s traded pretty much unchanged on the day, and the market navigated a 3-year sale relatively successfully, even though that auction did tail by a modest 0.7 basis points. In the foreign exchange complex, things were relatively quiet as well. The dollar happy to plod along in a relatively tight 102.30 to 102.60 range, and it feels like that range is going to remain in place until we get to the September CPI figures, which are, of course, due tomorrow lunchtime, London time. Other G10s also treading water, although we have seen some modest softness creeping in this morning, with cable trading down to a low of around 130.70, and the euro once again failing to make its way north of the 110 handle. Last but by no means least, in the commodity space, we had some fairly chunky selling pressure coming into crude, with WTI down by over 4% in its worst day since the start of September. For the technicians out there, the move pretty much started with a rejection of the 200-day moving average, which comes in at $77.35 a barrel. And as frequent listeners will know, the 200-day moving average is one of, if not the only, technical indicator that both Ryan and I actually like to place any value in. And we also saw, as Ryan alluded to, some selling in gold as well. The yellow metal down by around about 1% yesterday, a fifth straight daily decline, which is the worst run for gold since the 7th of August, with yesterday's loss being the biggest one-day decline in a couple of months. The yellow metal starting to lose its shine in quite a
There it is.
significant
Oh,
manner.
hang on. Right. Whoa. Right. So you've blatantly got that wrote down, right? You knew that pun was coming. However, you mugged me off for talking about heavy metal.
Yeah.
You disgust.
Double standards, mate.
You disgust. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. Moving on.
Right, moving on.
Right.
We had a real lack of any significant data releases yesterday. By real lack, I mean there were none. News flow was also relatively lighter. A few bits and bobs that are worth bearing in mind. Chinese stock turnover hit another record on Tuesday at 2.6 trillion yuan. Of course, the difference being that this record has now been hit primarily due to selling pressure rather than the demand that we saw when that record was first breached last week. We had some Fed and ECB speakers yesterday. The ECB speakers, again, just nodding towards the fact that they're going to cut rates in October. The market prices that as a 95% chance at this moment in time. The Fed speakers really just stressing data dependency and that they're not necessarily locking themselves into 50 basis point moves, having delivered that jumbo cut at the September meeting. Speaking of 50 basis point moves, the RBNZ did indeed deliver a 50 basis point cut to the cash rate overnight, which now stands at 4.75%. They stuck with some relatively data dependent guidance, saying that future changes in interest rates depend on their evolving economic assessment. Although I believe it was Citi, although correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone's got the note, they had a piece out relatively soon after the RBNZ saying that they reckon they will have a 75 basis point cut at their next meeting, which is in November. And last but by no means least, news from late yesterday is the Department of Justice in the United States are apparently weighing breaking up Google as a remedy in this ongoing monopoly case over Google's search engine shenanigans. I think the likelihood of Google being broken up is pretty slim, but it is nonetheless one to keep an eye on, particularly if we see any reaction in Alphabet stock at the open or pre-market trade in about 25 minutes' time. And that is pretty much it in terms of yesterday and overnight.
Oh, that's brilliant timing because Dario Perkins has just joined. And I savagely burned him just now. So I'm very, very happy about that. Hello, Dario. Good morning. Do you know who was asking for Dario earlier on?
Yeah, I saw
Absolutely
it, mate.
fucking
It was funny the
nobody.
first time.
Anyway,
Does no one care about gold BMWs anymore?
no one does, mate. No one does.
That's a shame.
Only scrap metal dealers.
Although, to be fair, gold BMWs are better than the bus that Tom Talks Cars found himself
This
stuck
is
on
very
last
true.
night.
This is very true. Anyway, what we're doing here? All right, yeah. Geopolitical headlines by our friends at News
Fuck
Talk.
knows, to be honest.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. You get paid for this because I'm not.
No, I'm not actually.
Tell you what though. Speaking of News Squawk, it appears to be that News Squawk's audio squawk is being added to PIQ today. So that's a big deal for us. That's a bit of a milestone for the platform, getting our first audio feed on there. So a squawk feed. Anyway, I digress. Right, yes, News Squawk, geopolitical headlines. So obviously there's been a ton of China news this morning. The Ministry of Finance is to hold a press briefing on fiscal policy and economic development on October the 12th at 10 a.m. local time, which is 3 in the morning London time, and 10 o'clock at night in New York. And it will introduce details on intensifying fiscal policy adjustment, just in case you have been living under a rock. Obviously, we had loads of stimulus chatter leading into the week-long holiday, which drove risk assets in China, ramped them higher, let's be honest. And then the Wall Street Journal, the day before they were coming back from the holiday yesterday, the Wall Street Journal had a source in the government, Chinese government, and they said, look, to be honest, the market's overcooked this. Yes, there's stuff in the pipeline, but nowhere near what the market's expecting. And that's why Chinese risk assets shit the bed yesterday, technical term for you. So it seems like today they're like, oh, hang on, maybe we need to throw a bit more, or at least pay lip service to throwing some more woks at the problem instead of kitchen sinks. See what I did there? The US president.
Well, the thing is,
go on.
sorry, just on that,
Go on.
surely they're not going to make the same mistake twice by announcing a press conference and then just not saying anything new.
But it's what they do, isn't it? Like the amount of times they promised and then not delivered, it's ridiculous. Yeah, but yeah, who knows? But as me and you said at the time, if you've made money on those moves, good on you. But there's one market or one asset class or one area that me and you both agree that you just stay the fuck away from, and that's anything to do with China. And thankfully we've been proven right there, because if it had screened higher for the next 6 months, I'd have felt like a right twat, as opposed to usually. Anyway, in the Middle East, US President Biden and Netanyahu will speak today. The Israeli senior officials said that they're going to respond to the Iranian attack, but will not do it in a way that will start an all-out war with Iran. It's quite interesting that Netanyahu speaking to Biden today, because obviously we heard yesterday that Gallant, the defense minister, was meant to be traveling to the US, but then that trip was cancelled. Apparently, from reading into it, it looks like it was his trip to the US was refused by Netanyahu because Netanyahu put some kind of like conditions in place for it. Two conditions that we have that we know about was that Biden and Netanyahu had to have a call first before Gallant got on the plane, and Netanyahu, God, I can't pronounce it. Also wanted the cabinet to approve the response to Iran's missile attack. So basically, it sounds like Netanyahu wanted all the ducks to be aligned before Gallant went over there. They weren't. That's why Gallant didn't go. It looks to be now that he will be going after this. Israel is reportedly considering striking energy facilities in Iran, but pinch of salt with all this. We've heard this many times. We have no idea what they're going to do. Let's be honest. Iran has told the Gulf states it is unacceptable if they allowed their airspace to be used against Iran. Kind of pot kettle, considering they used other countries' airspace to throw missiles over. But I'm not a marine biologist, so I'll leave that to someone else smarter than me. And finally, well, not finally, maybe finally from News Squawk, North Korea's army said it's completely cutting off roads and railways connected to South Korea from October the 9th, so tomorrow. So how can you make an isolated country even more isolated? Do that, I guess. And finally, just a kind of word on Hurricane Milton. Obviously, that's really kind of going to be first and foremost in everyone's mind, especially as the US comes to their desks. So expect plenty of headlines and lots of updates on that. Yeah, we know it's going to hit Florida. We know it's going to be catastrophic. We know the flooding is going to, and the storm surge is going to be, life-threatening and all that. So, it's there is more than just numbers on a screen, right? There are people behind it, is what I'm trying to get to. So bear in mind that. In terms of markets, though, because obviously that's what we are here for, at the end of the day, as myself and Michael Brown have alluded to in the past, this is an issue that's going to impact US data for the foreseeable. I think we had one of the Fed guys yesterday said, it could impact, we could be seeing 6 months worth of impact into the data based on this, depending on the outcome. So again, just bear it in mind. It's, we could see, Q1, we could still be seeing this kind of hangover from all this crap. So one to remember. Anyway, back over to Mr. Brown.
Absolutely. I think that is going to steal plenty of attention today, and obviously remember the human side of proceedings there. In terms of the day ahead, economically, the calendar is relatively quiet once more. We do have minutes from the September FOMC meeting due a little bit later on, of course, at 7 o'clock this evening. The minutes are, they're always a little bit stale. They do sometimes get used by the Fed as a bit of a signalling mechanism as to the future policy outlook. But of course, they reflect economic conditions 3 weeks ago, before those two hurricanes that Ryan was just mentioning, and also before the much stronger than expected September labour market reports. So, I don't think this is going to be particularly market moving when those minutes drop later on. In terms of other bits and bobs to focus on, we do have more supply from the United States, a 39 billion 10-year note auction at 6 o'clock London time this evening, and another busy calendar of central bank speakers, including 6 from the FOMC, which I'm sure everyone is incredibly excited about. The ECB's Elderton will also be talking, but I think he's speaking about how we can make the economy more green, which I'm sure is going to be absolutely thrilling. And there are no notable pre or post-market earnings today as we await the start of Q3 earnings season proper on Friday, with JP Morgan and Wells Fargo reporting before the bell. And as always, I feel like I say this every day, geopolitical headlines will remain in focus as well.
Yes, exactly that. Oh, look who's joined, Arno, the man that can't use the Twitter space. Oh, God.
Well, he was trying to join at 8:30, but he's only just managed.
Oh, do you know what, as well? I've just realised I'm actually doing a CPI preview. Well, attempting to do a CPI preview with him at some point today. We might get it done by Friday. Obviously, the figure's tomorrow. Anyway.
You preview next month's data.
Well, let's not get carried away. we might need more time. Anyway, Michael, thank you very much. You sound like you're a bit ill, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit congested. So I'm going to go and have
Well,
some more lem. So I think my cold has come back.
well, man the fuck up. Right, on that note, guys, as always, thank you for listening. We really do appreciate it. And also, we do appreciate the feedback that a lot of you drop into our DMs and stuff. So thank you very much. If you are trading today, as always, keep it tight. Stay away from guys that used to drive gold BMWs. They cannot be trusted, especially around children. And on
Oh
that,
no.
and on that note, we will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Now for the awkward silence.
Farewell.
Did you farewell? Ahoy
I
hoy!
did. It's so long.